Like I said in my previous video, right, we have like three main developer roles in the world of AI, right? We have like the AI engineer, the data analyst, and the data scientist. Python, what the heck is Python? So Python is just an instrument, right? It's an instrument to manipulate data. The way that I want you guys to like think of it is the one thing that is common across all these three categories or these three paths for developers is data. You need to be able to master data or master the manipulation of data. Think of it this way. Data is the melody. Python is the instrument. AI is the symphony composed by those who know how to play it, right? So the key to mastering AI is in mastering data. If you can manipulate data, you can create AI. So even if you're not really getting into AI, even if you're just, getting into data analytics or just whatever, you still need to manipulate data, right? And Python is that instrument that allows you to manipulate data. So Python is a programming language, and a programming language just allows you to communicate with your computer, right? Your computer doesn't understand what you're saying, unless you're talking to AI. That's another topic. But apart from AI, your computer does not understand what you're saying. It doesn't understand natural language. So we human beings invented programming languages to communicate with the computer. Python is one of those languages. Now, if I want to manipulate data, there are four main data types, four main types of data, categories of data. One is a string, integer, float, and boolean. Four main data types. The data type we are going to be focusing on are strings, just for now. We'll talk about the other data types in other videos. I want to make this video quick because I want you guys to just get started, right? I want to remove all the friction. So yeah, we will focus on strings for now. Your first program, simple program. Every single course on Python starts with this, print hello world. Now, I'm not going to show you how to install Python for this video yet because again, I just want you guys to just get started, right? So no installing Python, none of that right now. I'll show you how to install Python later on, but for now, we're going to be using what is called an online IDE. So this is an online IDE. So this is an online IDE. What is an IDE? IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Fancy name, I know, but all it really is just an environment where I can pretty much code as a developer. Now, this is an online IDE, so you can't really do a lot of coding, like a lot of actual professional coding here, but it's good to learn, right? It's a very good environment to learn Python, at least the basics of Python. Now, I can code in Python in other areas as well, something known as a console, but you have to actually install Python in order to use Python in your console. I'll explain what a console is shortly, but let me just show you. So here, I can use Python. I could print hello world. I know it looks a bit overwhelming, but just calm down. So print hello world, it outputs hello world. Now what happens when I print 1 plus 2? I'm gonna get 3. If I print hello world, right? Hello world. That's the output. So this is the IDE that we're gonna be using for now. We'll install Python later when we need it. Now let's continue. What we just did is we wrote down our first program. Now what we used was something called a print function. Now, a lot of courses introduce you to the print hello world, but not many courses actually explain what a function is. Every course says, okay, print function, but doesn't actually explain what a function is until down the line, right? So let's actually decompose this concept, right? First principles thinking. Check out my previous videos on first principles thinking. So what is a function? What is a console? Those are the two main questions we asked. First, let's focus on function. So a function is just a machine that just does a bunch of stuff. So think about it this way. If I have ingredients like a cake, right? Eggs, flour, milk, and yeah, it's been a long time since I've cooked cake or baked a cake. It's pretty easy, but yeah. So yeah, you get the idea, right? You just put a bunch of ingredients into the stove, into the oven, not the stove, into the oven, and the idea is that the machine, the oven, is going to do a bunch of chemistry, a bunch of physics, right? And the idea is that you're going to be getting a cake, right? An edible cake. So a function is the same thing. In Python, it's just a machine that does a bunch of stuff. It cooks your data, basically. It cooks your data and it outputs your data in an interesting format or a desired format, right? This is like a basic analogy of what a function is. I know there's a more mathematical definition of a function. I know that there's like super sophisticated ways to define a function, but we're not going to get into that yet. When we do our math series down the line, which we will, then we'll explain more rigorously what a function is. For now, this is all you need. This is all you need right now. This is the main analogy that you need. So let's try to understand the print function a bit. See these brackets right here where it says print? Every single function has these, not brackets, sorry, parentheses. Every single function has these parentheses. So it doesn't matter what the function is called. It can be called something. It's always going to have these parentheses. So the print function, right, has these parentheses. Now these parentheses, I want you to think of it this way. You have a box, right? You have a box, a container, whatever it is, and these parentheses are like, so I don't know if you guys can see this water bottle, right? Right here, this is the entrance into the water bottle. I could pour water into the water bottle, right? Or the oven. The oven has an entrance. I can open up the oven and I can put in the ingredients, so I can, bake my cake, right? Same thing. Think of these parentheses as the entrance, like or what is also known in programming as like the parameters or placeholders. Here, I'm just storing my data. So, for example, if I have 1 and I have the number 2, I could put this data, right? This is my input data into the machine. And what's going to happen is that this machine is going to be working, right? It's going to have some kind of logic behind it. Just how the oven heats up. This function has the logic of, or the ability to add two numbers together, right? The plus sign. So it's going to take the number 1, it's going to take the number 1 and it's going to take the number 2 that I just put in here, and it's going to add them together. But what the function, the machine has to, return the data to me, right? It has to return whatever it is that it did with the data. So it returns the data. So what's the result of 1 plus 2, 3. So it returned the data to me. I could do anything I want with this data now. I could store it somewhere. I could visualize it, or I can manipulate it. I could probably pass this data into another function, right? I could have another function and maybe multiply this 3 with 2 in order to get 6. I could do anything I want with this piece of data. Or I could just store it somewhere. It doesn't matter. Or I could delete the data. The point is, I could do a bunch of things with this data, and that's all a function does. So a print function is just a function that allows me to visualize the value of the data on my console, or on my interface, basically. So this interface right here, if I have 1 plus 1, I'm not going to see anything in here because the computer calculated what 1 plus 1 what 1 plus 1 is, right? It's 1 plus 1 equals 2, right? And the computer calculated that. But it's stored somewhere in the hardware or on the website that is being hosted, right? Or in a database. But I cannot see the results of that data. So if I want to get the result of that data, I need to pass this data, right, into a function called print. And what this function is going to do is it's going to return the value or the calculation of that data to the console so that I can actually see what the value is. That's what the print function does. Remember, a function is just a machine that does stuff. It could add, it could multiply, it could subtract, it could do math, it could do whatever, right? ChatGPT is just a function. ChatGPT, that's what it is. It's a function, a very complicated function, a very expensive function. Costs billions of dollars with billions of trillions of parameters, but it's a function. That's all it is. It's not going to take over the world. It's just a function. So that's what it is. And that's what a console is. Now I'm not going to get into the computer science of this. This is not a computer science course right now. Later on we'll dive into computer science, but right now I just, we want to understand the basics. Hierarchy of programming languages. So again, this is not a computer science course, but this is just so like we can all be on the same page. Computers work in ones and zeros, right? We've all heard of this. Ones and zeros. They're just little tiny light bulbs that are just turning on and off, turning on and off. Billions of these light bulbs. These light bulbs are called transistors. There's billions upon these little tiny transistors, and they're constantly turning on and off. So this is known as binary language. This is how the computers are working. It's passing data through all these little tiny circuits. Human beings don't understand this. It's too much for our brains to just comprehend this. So we invented a language called assembly language. We add symbols to these calculations so that we can have an easier time in manipulating the hardware of the computer, right? The hardware of a computer is just the hard stuff, right? The monitor, the monitor, the CPU, right? The actual circuits, that's hardware. Now, if I want to manipulate that hardware, assembly language is perfect for that. These other languages are also very good for that. They're more efficient. They provide more capabilities, right? It's a higher abstraction. I'm not going to dive deep into it. These programming languages are more focused on data manipulation. So now we're not focusing so much on manipulating the hardware or the memory. We're focused more on manipulating data. And that's the purpose of this course. That's why we're learning Python and not C. We could do it in C, but it's a lot more efficient to do AI or data analytics or whatever data related task using Python. And yes, there are other programming languages that you could use like Java or R, but Python is the most popular. It's very efficient, it's very fast. Well, it's fast for data related tasks, kind of, but if you really want speed, then yeah, you kind of want to go for C or C++, but it could do what, it's very good at what it does, basically. And then of course, a layer above that, which is very new, is something known as vibe coding. It's trending, right? Vibe coding is just using natural language, right? It's just using natural language to code an application. I don't have to know any programming. I can literally just tell the computer, hey, can you build me a website? And the AI is going to do all of it for me. Believe it or not, this is a type of programming language. It's just natural language. It's just me talking. It's just me writing. So if I go, there are many tools, by the way, and I ask, hey, can you code a basic website for me? The AI is just going to do its thing. That's natural language. That's vibe coding. I'm not really coding. I'm vibing with the code that the LLM is actually producing. So that is vibe coding, and this is really cool. Look what the AI is doing. It's starting to plan, it's starting to think, and it's gonna just, like install all the files. It's gonna write down all the code on each file, and it's going to actually produce a website for me. This is really, really awesome. Now, while this is running, let's continue. So that's vibe coding. Now we are focusing on learning Python, on learning data programming languages so that we can master data manipulation. So my recommendation for you guys is to just don't start with vibe coding. Start with getting the basics of data manipulation, and then we can get into vibe coding. Vibe coding is not a bad thing. It's great. We need to use vibe coding. I'll make a separate video about that, but it's also important for us to know the basics of programming and not just totally rely on AI. Just how it's also important to understand, C and C++ and what's going on in the computer. It's good to get an understanding of the basics, and then we can continue with higher level programming languages. Don't get this mentality that you need to be just hyper focused on one thing. No, we're autodidacts here. We're polymaths. We're tech polymaths. It's a transdisciplinary discipline. I don't even know, but anyways. It's a transdiscipline, I think. Yeah. So that's vibe coding. And that's the hierarchy of programming languages. Now, that's it for this video. This is just to get you guys going. I don't want to make this video too long. Here's my challenge for you. Here is a prompt. So I want you guys to use AI. So everything you've learned in this video, you guys probably have further questions. I want you guys to ignite your curiosity. Start to become more curious. Like, I had a couple of questions like, oh, what is a function? What is actually a console? Maybe you're interested in actually finding out how a console works. Then do that. Don't wait for my next video to pop. I'm still gonna explain all of these concepts, but I want you guys to be active in your learning as well. That's how you actually learn, because this is a vast space. And so, by the way, let's see what this guy was able to code. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, this is the website. See, this is really cool. Now, what I could do also, now you don't have to use bool.new, there's many tools out there. I can go on ChatGPT, register on OpenAI, and I could use AI to aid my learning. So for example, what is a console in Python? I could ask it this question and it's going to teach me. It's going to teach me, right? Now here's the thing, ChatGPT is just going to spit out a bunch of information and you still might not understand. Whatever it is that you don't understand, you need to learn the art of learning. You could just select whatever it is that you don't understand. Like it's saying that, okay, let's see, PyCharm. What the heck is PyCharm? So I could select that. I could ask it, what is PyCharm, right? Or here's a quick hack. Here's a cheat code that I like to use and that really helped me to learn and digest complicated concepts. Here's a very interesting prompt that I developed. So I could copy and paste this prompt, and I could ask the AI, hey, I want you to regenerate your answer, but with the following conditions. One, assume that I have zero experience in software development. Because here's the thing, AI doesn't know what your experience is. It doesn't know if you're an experienced developer. It doesn't know if you have zero experience. So you have to let it know. You have to help it. Tell it what your experience level is. Tell it to break the concept down in first principles, right? First principles thinking. Check my previous video on 4 mental models, or on how to think, right? It's going to take that concept and it's going to break it down. Tell it to explain each concept, each principle. Once it's broken down the concept into basic components, right? Tell it to explain each component to you. Then tell it to put all the pieces together and illustrate it in a practical, intuitive example. We're human beings. We're not robots. We learn through illustrations, through stories, through visuals, through graphics. So examples, tell it to give you an example, right? So if I were to just press enter, look at it. Now it's actually starting to use emojis, right? It's the AI is going from Google mode, Google robotic mode, to tutoring mode because of that prompt that I just fed it. A program is just a list of instructions you give to a computer to do something. See how the language it's using? Now it's using more basic language, a language that I can actually understand. It's now explaining things to me in a more digestible way. So what is Python? What is a console? See how my first question was, what is a console in Python? So it took that question and it broke it down into more questions. That's first principles thinking. It broke it down to what is a computer program? What is Python? And it's explaining each concept, and then it's putting all the pieces together in an intuitive example. So my challenge to you guys is use AI. Use AI to learn AI. Forget about all the crap that's out there online telling you that AI is going to take over the world, that we shouldn't use AI, that AI is just making us dumber. No, if we use AI properly, we can actually get smarter and learn stuff a lot quicker with AI. AI is just a tool, and it just enhances the virtues that an individual already possesses. So if you have a positive growth mindset, then AI can really take your growth mindset to another level. So that's all I have for today. Next video, we will be talking about variables, the standard to manipulate data.